pumpkins just in time for October, Halloween, fall. We've all been waiting for it, and there is nothing funner to make than a needle felted pumpkin. So for this project, you're going to need some materials, core wool, some pumpkin colored wool, and something to decorate the top of your pumpkin with. I have a little bit of vines, yarn, mohair locks, all kinds of things. And of course, this can all be found in my kit, in my Etsy store, the pumpkin kit. And we'll be making a single pumpkin today, and I'll show you how to decorate it and how to do the little indentations. You'll also need a needle with some twine on it, and of course your felting tools like your foam and your needles. So are we ready for pumpkin time? Let's get started. So we're going to start making our pumpkin, and you can make your pumpkins any size. The kit kind of comes with enough to make about 3 to 5 pumpkins depending on the size that you're making them. So you can either make about 5 little pumpkins or 3 medium-sized pumpkins, or you can make a couple of larger pumpkins. So what you want to do is just take some of your core wool and pull a little bit off of it, probably enough, then kind of give it a little bit of a ball it up in your hand, just to kind of estimate to see what size your pumpkin will end up. So, and remember that, your core wool compresses a great deal. So you can always end up using a little bit more and stuff. It just takes a little bit while to gauge it. So you can also reference our video that we've done before, which is the basic tools and technique video on making core shapes, and the getting started needle felting video. So just what you're going to do is roll up your core wool pretty tightly, and as you're doing this, you can kind of give it a couple of pokes as you're rolling it up. This just makes it a little bit tighter as you're going. Think of like rolling a ball of yarn or a tennis ball. So I'm going to add a little bit more to I've rolled it one way, and then I'm going to add a little bit more to the over the top of it, so I get more of a kind of a round shape. And let's see. So you just want to kind of needle it all over until it's firm to feel kind of like a little bit denser. Then you don't want it too squishy, because we're going to take some twine and some a needle, and we're going to make like our little pumpkin indentations before we actually cover it with the roving. So if it's too squishy, it'll be like kind of a flat pumpkin. So this one it's on its way to kind of being pretty firm and pretty dense, and that's probably a good size medium pumpkin right there. So now once you have this one, you're going to string up your needle with this is just some cotton thread. It's a little bit thicker just so that you can kind of see it, but you could use any kind of thread that you had. And I'm going to grab this little one that I prepared first. And I kind of see, like, you can see like the top of it where it's swirly, and kind of you get the feel of which direction up is going to be on the pumpkin. So you want to take the needle from the bottom, pull it up to the center, pull it through, and this one I've doubled it over so that I can kind of come back through the loop. That way I don't have to tie it off. And you can see how it's going to make that indentation right there as I pull it tight. And then I'm just going to go back through the center of it and then do these kind of little hemispheres. So each time I'm going through, I'm going to tighten it a little bit and then come back through the bottom part, up the top, and then kind of section it off. And then and of course you can make as many little sections as you want. But this one is a good start, and it kind of tightens on its own if you give it a little tug after each time. And then to tie it off, just kind of run it through as it comes off the needle. And then run it back through a couple times, and you really don't have to tie a knot or anything. It's not going to go anywhere. So then you can just trim off that little tail, and now we're ready to cover our pumpkin with some orange pumpkin-y roving. All right, now we're going to put our roving over our pumpkin, and we have this one that is has the core going on, and we just take the roving. I've got some pumpkin colors over here. This is kind of a really nice, it's not super soft as far as like wool goes. I think it's like a targi or Corriedale is really good for that because it's kind of like medium soft. But then since it's really a decorative item, it doesn't really have to be super soft. And I've hand dyed this or hand painted it. And it kind of came out with lots of different kind of variations when I dyed it. So there's some of this darker color and some of this lighter color. And then I've got a little bit of some sparkle stuff. This is because, you know, it's sparkly and I have to have my sparkle going on. So I've got some Firestar and some Sari silk that I carded up, and I like to call this my pumpkin pizzazz. So this will add some interest to the pumpkin itself. So just take whatever roving you kind of want to take, or select your color. You also don't have to use orange. You can always use a different color. Last year I was making blue pumpkins and green pumpkins and all kinds of colors. So just take a little bit, and you're gonna hold it with your thumb. And if you look right over here, you can see, and I kind of hold it down, and then I stretch it over one of these little segments. And then I hold the bottom with my other finger. So I've got it kind of between my forefinger and my thumb. And then I'm going to take my needle, move that needle out of the way over there, and kind of anchor it down in here. The little indentations where the string are kind of help you. You don't have to kind of work so hard to get that needle in there. And of course you can use your single needle, or you can use a double needle. These are the double needles I have available in my Etsy store. So I always like to work a little bit faster. Once you kind of anchor the top, you don't have to quite hold it quite so much. But it helps if the striations look really nice if they're kind of smoothly laid down. What I like to do with some of this excess is you could put it back over here and then cover that. I like to kind of take it and fold it back on itself and then felt it down into there, because it kind of gives it a little bit more of an interest. And sometimes you'll even find like a shade variation even, which makes your pumpkin look really neat. So you're just going to cover each section just like this one until you have the entire pumpkin covered. And then you'll be ready to put on the kind of pizzazz or like the different shading. So see, I have a dark section right here. Then I might put a little bit of a lighter section right next to it, just to kind of make it a little bit interesting. so that it actually looks like something that might grow in the pumpkin patch. And you kind of work all this stuff down until it's smooth over your pumpkin. What I keep going back to is I'm always going back to those little indentations in between where my string is. And the more that you kind of put those, poke those along those edges, the more that your indentations on your pumpkin are going to be noticed. So just keep working that. And then when you're ready to add your kind of pumpkin pizzazz or your sparkly stuff, I'll show you how it looks on a pumpkin that's mostly covered. So this one I have all kind of smoothed down. Of course, I can always keep going. So, and there's not a whole lot of halo on this, which in halo, we mean that those little kind of fibers that kind of stick out and always bother needle filters. So we're always trying to get our work to be more smooth and uniform. So I take my little bit of pumpkin pizzazz right here. And this stuff is a little bit, it's a little bit stringy. You could always kind of cut it up a little bit if you need to. And then I kind of think, where do I want it? And you just kind of lay it down and then needle felt it in. I'm using like a double 40 needle right now, and I'm not having any problem getting that recycled sari silk to kind of go down into there. So if you were worried about it, you could use a 38 or a 36 gauge needle. And then you just kind of use your needle and use the covering technique, like the shallow jabs, to kind of get all of those little places kind of worked in. So now I have a little section of pumpkin covered with the pizzazz area. Okay, so we'll move right along. All right, so we have our pumpkins all covered with roving and a little bit of pumpkin pizzazz. I'm now going to show you how to do like a little jack-o'-lantern face and a little funny face if that was something that you wanted to make for your pumpkin. And last year, here's one of the blue pumpkins that I made, and he's got a really cute little moon face going on. And then here's just a really simple little jack-o'-lantern design. So you can make them have all kinds of different expressions and things. So if you look right here, I'm going to kind of take my pumpkin and just see what I need to do, which way it needs to select like the face of your pumpkin. So since this one doesn't have a stem yet, we can pretty much decide the up or down portion. I think we'll maybe just kind of stick it right here in the middle. And then you just need a tiny bit of dark roving or black roving, and just put wherever you want your eye to be, or you can start with the nose, which might be a better place to start since it'll be more centered. So, and for the nose, I think I'm just going to make a little upside down triangle. So I'm going to kind of just kind of walk your needle into the little triangle position. So I'm just going to hit the the three corners, 1, 2, and 3, and then kind of fold this little tiny pieces of black roving back on itself. You don't even have to get the middle a whole lot. You can really define that shape just by going along the edges, and then the middle kind of takes care of itself, so to speak. Probably the hardest part on the little jack-o'-lantern face is if your pumpkins are really tiny, then they become a little bit more difficult. But you can see how all of that little wisp of roving is just going right into there. And how it looks pretty recessed in there. So now just kind of give it a little bit overall, kind of going over now that I have the shape defined. So now we have a little pumpkin nose, and then for the eyes, I think I'm going to do kind of like little half moons. So I'll start kind of up in one corner right here and just kind of draw it, just as if I was using like a pen or a pencil. Wherever your needle goes, wherever you poke your needle, your roving is going to, or your wool is going to go down into the pumpkin. So here I'm just kind of ignoring these little indentations, just like you would on a real pumpkin. And kind of gather up those excess little fibers and poke them down in here. I find that like a little swirl and poke makes them go right into the surface of your pumpkin. So now I just have my little bit of other wool right here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I kind of like just takes a little bit of practice to get symmetrical with it. But of course you can always pull it off and start again. And hopefully you're close enough to see all the details of what I'm doing. So now we're got my little sleepy pumpkin going on right here, those little moon eyes, and then we'll do the mouth right now. So for the mouth, I just take a little bit more roving, and you can do whatever kind of mouth you want. I think I'm just going to do kind of a simple crescent shape with maybe like one little tooth sticking up off of it. Probably the hardest one to do is like that one, that a jaggedy one. It just takes a little bit more control, but if you make a lot of these little pumpkins, you can experiment with all kinds of little jack-o'-lantern faces. They're pretty fun to do. So this one is a happy pumpkin, though you can make him as, you can make unhappy pumpkins if you want. I like chipper pumpkins. They're very fun. So, and I'm just going to give him a little bit of a tooth. See how I'm just the barest suggestion of like a little tooth right there. And you can kind of, you're carving your little pumpkin with your felting needle instead of with a pumpkin knife. So now we have the cute little jack-o'-lantern face going on right there. And to demonstrate on how to do these little bit more complicated faces, I got a bigger pumpkin just so you can see what's going on. Makes it a little bit more easy. And then I'm going to take some colored roving. And this helps to have like a, to make the nose for your pumpkin, since we started on the nose last time. And then just kind of like you can have, if you have a bamboo skewer or if you have a pencil even, just kind of like make a little bit of a cylinder shape, roll it in your hand, slide it off, and then you can see I'm going to take it and fold it up underneath, and this is going to be the start of my nose. So once you have it right here, just kind of put it on in between the indentations. And then felt it down. I like to look at pictures on Google. I Google like funny faces or baby faces, and kind of go from there for like to get an idea of what kind of nose you want or what kind of the shape of what it is that you're trying to do. Like this guy, he's pretty not very symmetrical, so but that kind of gives him some character and it turns out pretty cute. So for each of these little places, I'm going to make like another little roll to kind of go onto the pumpkin face. So this will be like one of my little eyebrow rolls or eyebrow ridges. And just kind of take it and kind of fold up the roving a little bit, and then needle felt it in place. Okay, so now we've started making our pumpkin face, and I'm gonna show you the next step. All right, so we're ready to make our stem of our pumpkin. And to do that, you just take a little bit of like green or brown roving. I've got some really nice green. It's got a few little streaks of brown in it. And then you can do this by just taking maybe a little bit more. And I have a whole pile of my favorite kind of little add-ons and things. We can't use all of these on this poor tiny pumpkin, but we can use just a few. So just first we'll make the stem, and take the stem and kind of roll it in your finger, or if you have a bamboo skewer or pencil handy, you can also do that. Basically, we're just kind of smushing it up, just like we were doing the core, and rolling it up. And then you're going to felt it. And then you'll see this little kind of craziness going on right here, and just roll it in your hand. The friction alone from your hands causes it to felt. So now we have a little stem. So just take your little stem, kind of like make the little area on the bottom of the stem kind of brushy so it sits down. And then before that, what I did right here to get these little striations going on is I took a very tiny little wisp of the same roving so it matches, and I laid it across the top right here, and then I just felted that down. So I'm just kind of felting it into the indentation. You can go all the way to the bottom side if you want to, but you don't have to. So I kind of end up going about halfway down just to give it that little suggestion of that it grew like that. So, and then to attach your stem, you just take, probably the single needle is better for this, and then you just kind of felt the base of your stem into the top of your pumpkin. You can follow those kind of same little lines all the way down. These also look good with like a little brown stem as well. So sometimes I like to put a little tiny button on the end of mine, and that is just a little dot just at the base, and you just kind of grab a little bit and swirl and poke, and you have a tiny little button on the bottom of your pumpkin. So one of the best parts is selecting these little vine things. So I have kind of a bunch of different things. This is some yarn that got kind of all kinked up and stuff, so it looks like it's like a little vine. And I'm gonna kind of take that. I usually take it about the center of it and just poke one little portion of it down into the stem, and then it's secure like that. It's not going to come off. And then you can select like whatever other things you want from. My kits come with like a bunch of different little things. It's whatever I have to hand, so I'll usually include at least 2 or 3 of these kind. So I kind of like, here's some mohair locks, which are lovely, and we can felt one of those ends into there. So we have kind of a long trailing vine. And then this is like a little piece of eyelash yarn. And this year it's been all about kind of like just different random little bits of things. These were really pretty. So this is just another kind of a pale color. I like to mix all the colors. Maybe if you have just one kind of yarn, you can certainly just use your one kind on there. It doesn't matter. But it looks pretty cute when you have a bunch of different kinds. So that's how you attach the locks and your stem to your pumpkin. So thanks for felting along with me today on making your perfect fall pumpkin. And I hope that you make them in lots of different sizes and shapes. I've got some a sideways pumpkin here, just like it kind of grew that way, and large pumpkins, little pumpkins, jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. So have fun and enjoy. Happy fall. For more adventures in needle felting, please like and subscribe to our channel. And for kits and supplies, check out the link to my Etsy store below. Thanks for watching.